go on to an activity that is like this. If you don't have a hook ladder, all you have is tape, that's all you need, or a paintbrush. You can paint it without any doubt whatsoever. And we use them in the gym as well. So all that we're trying to do is to get athletes to identify movement patterns and be crisp with them, shifting and lowering the centre of gravity side to side and coping with their body better. That's all that is. Okay? Now, so your options are you buy a speed ladder. I don't know what they are now, $75 or $100, I'm not sure. Or you paint it on the ground, or you paint it on concrete, or you put tape down. That's that easy. But there are so many different variations, so leading foot in, leading foot out, all that sort of stuff is very, very important, because you'll find that most of your athletes are one-sided, so they'll naturally cope with catch and pass better one side than the other. That's a one-sided version of it. But they'll also move better one side than the other. So when you ask them to come the other way, you'll find a lot of guys will trip up because they can't cope mentally with that. So I used to do a T-test, which was in between two cones, out past the cone, round the left, round to the right, back in and back home. I'll still do it. And then, instead of making the first turn to the left, most right-handed people will go pretty good at that. Then we just time them the other way. Some guys are up to a second slower. Same distance, second slower. It's just ridiculous. So then you just realise that you just need to train that aspect of what they're doing. You can put skill into it so that we can turn around and do a movement that is the reverse. So if it's this side, that side, put a ball there, so we get them to look up and start to judge what they're doing. Little things like hopping and bounding, I can't emphasise enough how important skipping or low-level plyometrics are. So, that's a low-level plyometric activity. You'd be amazed at the number of young and old athletes that can't skip at all. All that is jumping onto that box, just at the most basic form. So then when you turn around and get them to do these sorts of drills, it's a great first day in, first day out. So that's a really important component of agility work, okay? Even if it's as basic as jumping from side to side, it's great for, that sort of stuff is great for kids. It's great for older athletes too. The other thing is, it's fun. So the component which I do the second part of the week after I've bashed them, we've got a big fitness session on the Tuesday, the Wednesday when we do speed coupled with our weights, is that we do agility work for at least half of it, more so than getting them to sprint. Now the other thing about speed is that guys think that sprinting and coming back and sprinting again and coming back and sprinting again is speed work. It ain't, that's fitness work. So what I want is, you do a few warm-ups please. You're right? Okay. So if I want you to work from this line here, to that first line, and then walk back. Lower, I want you to keep your body weight. So the things that I work on here is I don't try and correct him too much. I want him to maintain low body height. So if we're doing a sprint session, just really drop his body height, keep his body height down.
I mean, the person could go here, but I don't think that's
okay, so what happens is, athletics coaches will come in and say, he took too big a strides to start with. He didn't do this, he didn't do that. Well, I had the head track and field coach, Craig Hilliard, who helped me at the Raiders for 3.5 years. He's the smartest, like Jai Tarima, what's that bird, Jane Fleming, Ryan Robinson, coached all them, a few Olympic medals there. He knows a bit about it. The other thing is, he knows about sport speed, and that's very different. So when you deal with an athlete who's a combat athlete, he'll run entirely different to a track athlete. Let's do another couple. So all that I'd be worried about here is while he's running, I'd be looking at his form and just giving him a few little tips. So like, I think that he takes too many big strides early. So what I'd be asking him to do, I consider that to be a weakness in his speed, would be to just shorten up his steps. So a good way of doing that then would be, next time you come back, I want you to work through the ladder and then sprint. So all of a sudden I'm just putting an idea in my head where I just see that he's reaching too much for my liking, to just try and shorten it up. He'll still revert back to what he does later. But so I want little steps all the way through, and then I want him to sprint. So all I'm trying to do is just identify something, one or two things, and say, listen, if you work on that, I think it might be able to help us fight inertia early and get going.